Okay, welcome back. So we'll continue our discussion on the different types of collection equipment that is used typically for the waste in terms of the waste collection for both municipal solid waste, C&D waste. So let's continue for that. This was the last picture we were looking at in the previous module. So in terms of this rear loading compactor truck, if you remember from the previous module, we talked about that when the garbage gets collected, its thing gets loaded up from the back from here, and then things gets compacted into this truck. So now at this disposal site, since we have to uncompact it, we have to bring it back. So there is actually usually there is a plate here. There is a plate which is into like this into the truck, and these plates move along the length, and then as it moves, it basically gets this garbage out. So as you can see, the garbage is coming out from there. So this is how these trucks work in terms of waste disposal. So and then this is another. I will show you I will show you how it works. So if you watch the pictures carefully, so the truck came in. At the disposal site, it got lifted up. Now the plate inside is moving, and then as the plate inside is moving, the garbage is coming out. So that's how it is rear loading compactor truck works. Then here again in this type of truck as well, you will have a plate here along like if you go and look at that. So there is a plate, and that plate is actually moving and bringing this garbage out. So as it says, all trailers are not created equal. There are different types of trailer trucks, and the trailer trucks are some are lighter, some are more durable, heavy duty. So different types of trucks are there, and these trailers are used when the garbage is taken first to a transfer station, and then from the transfer station to a disposal site. And we'll look at that as well, the use of transfer station. Then some unloading of the tractor trailer. As you can see, this is the tractor trailer came in. Now it's lifted up, and then the back is opened up, and then the garbage is coming out. So there's some pictures again, unloading of the dump truck, similar stuff. This street sweeping, the street sweeper what is going around, it will unload it in this roll-up box, and this roll-up box, as you can see, is lined. The reason for this it is lined is so that if there is any moisture coming in from here after a rainy event or a small storm event, it doesn't leak into the surface while it is being taken away to the disposal point. So this is how typically a resident collection system works. And then we'll talk about this transfer station in a minute. But before that, we go to the transfer station, how this collection, as I said earlier, the collection is one of the most costliest component. So how this collection system gets funding? So there are funding as I said, probably I mentioned earlier as well, there is sometimes the funding is through the property tax. So some places, some ULBs, what they do, they have a certain amount of property tax that you need to pay. And then as part of the property tax, a part of money is built into for waste management. But some places they also go for what is known as the utility bill. So as you get a bill for water, you get a water bill, you get a wastewater bill, and similarly you get a solid waste collection bill. And this is actually becoming more common these days. Most of the ULBs try to go for that, because if they can. Of course, it's all in the democracy. Everything is decided through a democratic process. So you will have the ward commissioner, municipal commissioner, and then they will get down. They will look at whether this is okay, and then of course what is the practice that the state is telling. So if throughout the state they go for property tax, then a particular ULB going for utility bill may not work. So if it is left on the state or on the ULB level, then they can decide whether they want to get as part of property tax or through the utility bill. But most common these days is trying to go for this, because why go for this? Because here the money is coming directly for the waste management. When it goes to the property tax, there are a lot of things happening with that money, and depending on who the commissioner is and how efficient or how I would say the lobby, in terms of the lobby of the waste management engineer or the waste management who is the waste in charge of the city, depending on his caliber, with some years you may get more money, some years you may get less money. But if it's directly billed for the waste management, the money will come to waste management. So that's why it's it's looked at that particular way. And then there is also a concept of whether we should go for a flat fee or a variable rate fee. Now, what is the flat fee and the variable rate fee? Flat fee means you have a one rate for the entire city, that is one option. You can have one rate based on certain area. This area will have this rate, this area will have that rate based on number of like a type of area, how, like whether the area is typically a lot of wealthy people. So if you have a flat fee, there is no incentive to reduce the amount of garbage. So it's but if you go for what is known as the variable rate fee, in the variable rate fee, essentially you are forcing people to think about the amount of garbage they are producing. So you are encouraging people to produce less garbage, because more the garbage you produce, more money you have to pay, and that is what is known as the pay as you throw. So more waste you produce, more charges are there for the waste. So what you saw in the previous in a couple of videos earlier, that the prepaid bags. So prepaid bag is your variable rate fee, where you have number based on the number of bags you need to purchase, more and more money you are paying. If you produce less garbage, you will need less bag. If you produce more garbage, you will need more bags. So that's the variable rate fee. So there is an incentive to reduce the amount of garbage that we are producing. Ultimately, see, like as we are talking about sustainable development, and we are talking about sustainable development goal, all these talk about this climate change and all those things that is going on these days. There are a lot of debate going on along that line, including that like a Paris Declaration which happened a few years back. And like some of the world power is even thinking of withdrawing from this Paris Declaration, or they have withdrawn from the Paris Declaration. But this is again, this whole debate is where it kind of comes down to, from a waste management perspective, it comes down to how can we reduce the environmental impact from this waste that we are producing. As the society society is growing, more urbanization is coming. We are getting more and more into mall-like culture, a lot of packaging material. So earlier what used to happen is you will go to a village, or semi-urban town, or even in big cities there will be vegetable markets. You go there with your own bag and you get the food, get the fruits, vegetables and whatever in that bag, and you bring it. There will not be even a single polythene bag throughout your shopping. Now if you go even for vegetables and fruits, many times you don't carry your bag, because you think that that they will provide you a polythene bag anyway. And even if you carry your own bag, you try to get it in different polythene bags so the things doesn't mix with each other, because these are all convenience. And because of we can afford to have those polythene bags, they are inexpensive, they are not expensive at all. So that's why we are creating lot of these plastic bags, for example. Or if you buy things from Amazon or Flipkart or any others, like what are the Slop Clues, there are lots of online shopping these days, and you buy anything from there, you get lots and lots of packaging material. So we are producing more and more garbage. In fact, if you look at, there is a very nice, in fact, I showed you in the very first week that as the GDP of the country increases, the amount of waste produced is also increasing. So because as we become more and more so-called developed, and I say it's so-called developed because I don't know whether that is the development, because where we have four now in terms of the development, everybody has their own cell phone. Everybody will have their possibly many houses. Every bedroom has a TV, but the enjoyment that we got as a children while watching TV together, even that was a black and white TV, and then watching with like 10, 20, 50 people watching that Ramayana or Mahabharata serial in one tiny room, that fun is no more, even when we are watching in a 50-inch or 60-inch TV. So I don't know what is development. So anyway, we'll not go to that debate. But so coming back to the solid waste side, since we want to, in terms of this sustainability and all that, we are trying to reduce the amount of impact from the solid waste sector. So, which includes trying to reduce the amount of garbage that is being produced at the first place. But since our lifestyle is changing, we are producing more and more garbage, more plastic, more stuff. But to introducing something like this in terms of the variable rate fee, at least we'll start thinking again, trying to go back, trying to say, no, we don't want to produce more, because people look at money. It's if you find something And if you have, when people will say, oh, if I have one bag, I can save, rather than 2 bags that I am throwing every week, if I have throw one bag, I am going to save this much amount of rupees. So that hits the person, and then there will be some incentive to reduce the amount of garbage. That may work, that may not work. That may work for some section of society, they may not work for some section of society, but at least it will work partially for sure. And there are other ways to try to reduce the amount of garbage that is being produced. So that's and we'll discuss this a little bit more in detail. So in terms of what I was saying, variable rate fee, there is a concept of what is known as pay as you throw. So this pay as you throw is it's a program, it's where the residents are charged for the collection of MSW based on the amount they throw away. So it's based on, if you throw more, you are paying more; if you are throwing less, you are paying less, and that seems fair. The communities that must now, when they do that, when the communities, when they are doing that, there is always a question of whether they should charge the residents for based on the volume or weight of the trash. Typically, you see volume. Because you have a bag or you have a trash can. Remember, you may, that based on your house the requirement, you can get a certain size of the trash can, and that trash can, if you have a smaller trash can, you pay less fee. If you have a bigger trash can, you pay more fee. So, but same thing with the bags. But so those are all based on volume. So what we happen is, on those trash can, if we have more garbage, we try to compact it in. We try to push it in as much as possible. So, but then if you go for the weight, there is a benefit there, but that weight you can weigh the garbage. But when you're trying to weigh the garbage, that means you are adding another layer of sophistication. So at every household, you need to have some sort of mechanism, either in the truck itself. So when the truck, if it's a mechanized truck, when the truck is going and lifting this garbage can, it should be able to weigh the garbage can while lifting it, or you can have some sort of a scale arrangement. So that adds a little bit of more complexity there, and that means more money. So you need to weigh pros and cons of both weight based as well as the volume based, and then decide which one will go for. But pay as you throw is kind of getting a popular concept now, so that more the waste you produce, more money you pay for that. So if you go for either for volume based is easy to administer. So you have given this, you saw those prepaid bags or the trash cans, typical size, and then based on that you have put a flat, you pay a fee, that if you use this bag, this much amount of rupees. If you have this size of trash can, this much is your monthly fee, and then that's one way of doing it. A smaller trash can, less money you pay. So it's easy to administer, less expensive to operate. So it's you can do it easily. Like there is once you decide something, and then you can just keep on following that. Disadvantages, many times people will try to compact in their garbage can. Try to compact it so that less incentive to reduce waste. So because they will try to compact it in the same can, so it will not be, the incentive is less in terms of reducing the waste. And then for that you need to use a specific can or a specific tag or a specific bag for that in terms of the volume based service. For the weight based, although it seems more fair because there you have large incentive to reduce the waste, because it's based on the weight. It seems fair, and people can use their own cans too. So you can, for every household, you know the tear weight, you know the empty weight of the can, and if they use the same can all the time, so you will have that, you know the empty weight, and every time you weigh the garbage, the difference, things are automated these days, so difference will give you the weight of the garbage, and based on that, how much weight of the garbage they produce, you can have a spreadsheet set up, a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet set up, where it will calculate how much will be the charge, and that can be done. But that somebody has to, you need a person to look after all that in the office, and that means an additional manpower requirement as well. So that's why there is more administration is needed in terms of the billing, and also it's expensive to set up in terms of the capital investment. So you need to have those kind of truck which can weigh those trash cans. So that's again, more money is required. So, but there are benefits of doing this weight based service as well. So volume based pay as you throw, we already talked about that. You have variable cans, prepaid bag, stickers. You already saw this example system where residents can decide on what size of can they want. what should be the size of the can. So they pay monthly fee based on this. There is a monthly charge based on monthly fee based on this, and then if you have extra weight, extra garbage, you put it in this prepaid bag. So that's your volume based pay as you throw. So this is more common as of today. You see wherever they have a pay as you throw system, it's mostly volume based. I don't know of any weight based pay as you throw system as of today. There might be some out there in some cities in Western European country, or maybe 1 or 2 cities in North America, but could be there. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that it is not there, but I haven't seen any yet. So just for so, and this is another like just kind of reminder of the way the thing is collected. Here again, it's a pay as you throw kind of system. For bag that you have bought this bag and they charge you for this bag. This is recyclable, these are recyclable. So this is for this recyclables, they don't charge you anything, it is collected for free. And so there will be 2 trucks coming in here. One truck will take this things which needs to go to the landfill, or go to the this is a landfill waste, and then the recyclables will go to a recycling center, and since the city will make money out of that, they don't charge you anything for that. So that's kind of some idea about how the waste is collected, and there are different how the collection system is funded. Now we'll talk about that one. Since you have to design a collection system, ultimately we have to say for different smart cities that we are talking about, whether we are in NDMC or whether we are in Kolkata, Newtown, Bhubaneswar, Bhopal, Indore, whichever city you talked about. So we have to, when we are trying to develop a solid waste collection system, for designing anything, first of all we need to know the data, isn't it? So we need to know the data. So data means, in terms of collection system, means we have to collect the garbage. So we have to collect the garbage. The number one question is how much garbage. So we have to find out how much garbage is there to be collected. That will decide how many trucks we'll require. So that's we'll look at that aspect, like solid waste generation rate. So what is the solid waste generation rate? As if in Indian context, there is a CPHEEO manual which is out there, which on solid waste management. Again, that manual was also revised recently, and you can Google that, and I will try to put that manual also on the website. So you can probably, as a reading material, you can see that manual as well. So this has been published. The newer version has been published now, which is under the Swachh Bharat Mission program. So, and we have to know the waste generation rate. So CPHEEO manual from the Indian context, they have come up with around 0.4 to 0.6 kg per person per day. So around 400 grams to 600 gram kg per person per day is that typical waste produced in the urban areas of India. Of course, this is a general average rate, depending on the type of the city you are in, the numbers may change a little bit, and the numbers are actually going up because of more and more packaging material, more big bazaar kind of stores, more mall. Now, earlier you used to go and buy, say, any vegetable, you will just buy the vegetable. These days they will be in a tray, and then the tray will have a lot of parafilm, and that parafilm, so when you come home, take this parafilm off, take the tray off, and then you take the vegetables, and the rest all these things goes to the trash can. So this is a lot of waste is being generated. So the numbers will go up. Typical number for like developed countries is varies from around few kgs per person per day. So we are around 1/3 of that number. So our numbers will also go up. And there is also in India, we still have some tendency of not wasting some things too much. So we have paper plastics we are still selling. Otherwise, that number will go up. Already costs more than 1 kg per person per day. So here, so in terms of coming back to this thing, that we have to first know the data, the basic data in terms of what collection system we need to design for. So how much waste we need this collection system will handle. So for that, first of all we need to find out what is the generation rate. Of course, we need to know the knowledge of the quantity of solid waste generated. So how much waste is generated, and then separate it and collect it for further processing. That is the fundamental to the design of solid waste management system. So anything we design from this point, we put those trash cans, the people have disposed the garbage. Now we need to know kind of garbage. We talked about that already, how to characterize it in the previous week, that the different ways of characterization, biological characterization, thermal characterization, that we need to do. And the second thing we need to do is for different types of garbage, what is the quantity? Like if I have to design a compost plant or anaerobic digestion plant, how many tons per day? But how many tons per day waste I am expecting? Waste to energy plant, how many tons per day waste I am expecting from this particular area? So we estimate that quantity of waste generated using the available data. So what we do a load count analysis or weight volume analysis. So we use weighing scales. Most of these waste disposal facility, waste treatment facility will have a weighing scale these days. Its weighing scale is very similar to as you drive on the highway in India, you see what many places you see a dharam kanta. That dharam kanta is actually the weighing because I think after this GST, that dharam kanta business, I'm not sure whether the dharam kanta business will still go on or not. I have no idea. But this is essentially when a truck enters a particular state for the state tax. If I'm wrong, let me know. But that's my understanding is that based on the weight of the truck, weight of the amount that's coming into that state, the state will charge a certain amount of tax. So for that, those dharam katas are there along the highway. So similar kind of, that's a weighing balance actually. That's a similar weighing balance are there in most of the waste disposal and treatment facilities. It should be part of that. If it's not there, it should be there. And then these trucks, when they come in, we weigh them and we know the empty weight of the truck. So we kind of or once the waste is dumped, when the truck is going back, we can weigh them again. So the difference will give us what is the amount of waste that came into the disposal facility or the treatment facility. So that way we can do what is known as the load count analysis, and I'll walk you through a problem and that will help you understand that. And then the weight volume, based on the weight, how much is the volume, the material balance is also done for that. So these are based on the amount collected, which is different from the amount generated. So because not everything is wasted. So whatever is the amount generated, it's not the waste. This is the amount collected in terms of in the disposal stream. Amount generated could be, part of it could be recycled, part of it could be taken away by the rack pickers, kabadiwala, so those are different things. And then people do divert the waste before it gets collected. You can do backyard composting. These days the home composting is getting popular. If you do a small home garden, you can do a home composting, and you can do a reuse program. You can outside of the public collection, so you can do a reuse. You can say transport between municipalities. So if you had some waste may transfer, maybe you work in one area but you live in the other area, so that could be can happen that part of the waste, not much fraction, but little bit of waste may travel between the municipalities. And sometimes you are traveling around, and then some of the waste that may have gone in your local city may go into some other city because you carried some of the material with you. So those things does happen. So that's so we can take some of those factors into account. So in terms of the load count analysis, here a small example has been given. In this method, what we do is we try to take individual loads are counted. So we count the individual loads, and then the waste we estimate the type of waste and estimated volume. Then the weight is taken in the scale, or the weight is also estimated based on the typical density. So if you take and then collecting this field data, we can calculate the rate. So if you look at here, there is a residential area. One example has been given here. So where we have a residential area, there are 1500 homes, average 3 people per home. And then when it comes to the transfer station, which is the waste like a treatment center or material recycling facility as well, it got 11 truckloads, each with 20 meter cube. So each truck was around 20 meter cube, and total weight coming in was 40,500 kg per week from those truckloads. and then 40 private loads. Private loads means the individuals like you and me came and drop off in their cars, or they may have a pickup truck, especially from this urban, semi-urban area. And then each of these private load was around 300 centimeter cube. The volume may change, but again it's an approximation, and they got 900 kg per week. So if you look at in terms of like a unit rate, we can calculate the unit rate here. This part we'll look at let's look at the unit rate first, and then we'll come and talk about this in a minute. So in terms of the unit rate, we have 40,500 from the 11 truckloads. We have 900 coming from the private load. So this is the total waste that is produced in a week from that particular area. And total we have 1,500 homes, average 3 people per home. So we have 1,500 times 3. So that's the number of people, that's the number of that's the amount of waste that is being produced. So amount of waste being produced per week divided by the number of people gives you the unit rate, which we typically express as kg per capita per week or kg per capita per day. Actually this should actually go there. So this is the kg per capita per day. Let's see, this is the, yeah, this should be like this. So it's a kg per capita per day is what we are, it's a unit of waste generation, or kg. You can also have kg per capita per week. I don't know why this week and day kind of got a little bit there that side. So here so 40,500 plus 900, that's the amount of waste produced per week. This is the total number of people. So if you do this math, you get 9.2, but this is per week. So divided by 7 further, and we get 1.31 kg per capita per day. So it's in this particular area 1.3 kg of waste is being produced. When we say per capita, means per person. So every one person on an average is producing 1.3 kg of waste per day. Why this number is important? As we said earlier, at the very, like in that individual, and in the previous slide, I think it was in the previous slide, we said that having this data, because this is the basic data we need, and as accurate this data we can get, better it will be in our later calculation. Because once we know this number, once we know with this number, we know how much is the population, we can find out how much is the waste produced per day. And then based on that, we know how much waste will come to my compost plant, how much waste can come to my waste to energy plant, how much waste will come to my landfill. And if I'm designing this compost plant or waste to energy plant or landfill, say for a period of 20 years, 25 years, I know how much waste will come over that particular period. Of course, that generation rate will change, and we have to factor that in. Population will change, we have to factor that also in. And that's you typically you will see, if you have not seen any DPRs of waste management system, go and look for one. Like if you Google one, there are few DPRs available on Google for the Indian ULBs, and especially from the smart cities, and you can look at how this population forecasting is done, how people have looked into how to, like if the present generation rate is 1.31, how the generation rate will change over the years, because we have added some factor, like every 5 years maybe 10% will go up. Some of those will be your guesstimate as well, because we don't know what will happen in future. Population, based on the past population data, we can predict what will be the future population data. And of course, that's again assuming that the way the population has increased in the past few decades, same trend will continue in future decades, which may not be true, depending on if the city is already saturated, maybe not, may not have same population growth. If there is a big industry coming into the city, the population growth will be much faster. So those factors sometimes we can consider, sometimes it's beyond our consideration. So we try to be as accurate as possible. And then the other part is in terms of which I said that I'll talk to you later. So it's looking at the density of the garbage in the truck. So as you can see, the private load, the density was only 75 kg per meter cube, because 900 kg divided by 40 loads and 300 centimeter cube. So this is mass upon volume. So the density is in the private load is 75 kg. But when you go to the compacted truck, it's 184 kg. So compaction, so since those compacted trucks, they do increase, they help in carrying. So what in terms of compacting the garbage, we have increased the density by almost nearly 2.5 times. So if no compaction is done, we'll need 2.5 truck. Which the amount of garbage that can be collected in one truck. So we are saving, by compaction we are saving the number of trucks. And as I said earlier, more the number of trucks, more the cost. Each truck is almost like $250,000, the good ones, the sophisticated ones that is being used in developed countries today. So these are kind of the calculation we need to do. Again, as I said in some point of time, this solid waste problems are not difficult ones. It's just you need to do it properly. You just do the regular math. And so with that, let's stop here, and we'll continue this discussion. Some of this discussion will continue in the next week as well. We have few more things in terms of the collection that we wanted to talk about. So maybe in next video of the first video of week 5, we'll finish up that discussion. So with that, again, thank you very much for watching these videos and trying to learn something. I really hope this will help in achieving our mission in terms of the Swachh Bharat mission and other things that we want to do in the country. So if you have any questions, put it in your discussion, put it on the discussion board. We'll be more than happy to answer. We are always waiting for your feedback and questions there. Let's make it a two-way conversation. And again, thank you, and keep watching and keep learning.